5 years ago, the mighty Arcadia Empire fell in a dramatic coup d'etat. A mysterious warrior riding a black drag ride annihilated 1,200 elite drag riders in a single night and was later dubbed the infamous Black Hero. In the aftermath, the Atismata kingdom rose to power. In the present, a certain boy found himself chasing a cat, a decision that seemed harmless until it led to him crashing straight through the roof of the Royal Knights Academy's bathroom. Unfortunately, gravity had other plans, and he landed face first on top of a beautiful girl. Even more awkwardly, he caught sight of a strange brand on her stomach. She asked for his last words. Remembering his grandfather's very questionable advice for emergencies, he complimented her body and called her cute. Unsurprisingly, he was promptly thrown in a cell. Soon after, a refined girl named Croitzer showed up. He wants to talk, but she is more interested in swords than him, especially intrigued by the black one. Another student escorted him to the headmistress's office, where he was surprised to learn that he wasn't in just any school. This was the prestigious Royal Knights Academy. And to add more drama to the day, the headmistress revealed that he had been invited. His name, Lux Arcadia, formerly Prince Lux of the fallen Arcadia Empire, is now a wandering handyman trying to stay out of political trouble. The academy had been founded to train drag riders and prepare for any future threats, but it has girl students. Male drag riders were rare these days, mostly retired or gone missing after the war. The headmistress wanted Lux to join the academy, but not everyone was thrilled about it, especially the girl he crash-landed on. She demanded he be punished and challenged him to a duel. The headmistress, either confident or slightly amused, gave her full permission. She even revealed that Lux was undefeated in battle and known as the weakest undefeated, a title that sounded more like a riddle than a compliment. The girl turns out to be none other than Princess Lisesharte, Lisha, Atismata, the current royal princess. His younger sister, Arcadia, also made an appearance. Once royalty herself, she urged Lux to win the duel. If he lost and ended up in prison, she'd be forced to pay a royal fine that would probably bankrupt their already struggling lives. The duel commenced. Lux wielded a basic white sword and drag ride, while Lisha took the battlefield with a powerful divine class model. Lux stubbornly fought on, even when his equipment began to fall apart, refusing to use his black drag ride. His determination only frustrated Lisha further, pushing her to attack more fiercely until she started losing control of her drag ride due to drained mana. Right then, chaos struck. A mysterious cloaked figure used a horn whistle to summon an abyss monster. Without hesitation, Lux chose to face the beast alone, buying Lisha time to recover. He asked her to wait for his signal before attacking, and then deliberately took a hit to create an opening. With perfect timing, Lisha destroyed the abyss, stunned by the fact that he risked his life for her. For the first time, someone had fought to protect her, and that someone was Lux. Predictably, Lisha found herself developing feelings for the prince-turned-handyman. Later, Lux had a dream of a mysterious voice offering an alliance. When he woke up, he found Lisha by his side, tending to his injuries. She had her own reasons for challenging him, reasons that had little to do with the awkward bathroom crash. Lux also admits that he saw everything. What she truly feared wasn't the embarrassment, but that he'd seen the brand on her stomach, the crest of the former Arcadia Empire, a dangerous secret in this new kingdom. Lux promised to keep it hidden. In return, Lisha informed him that he had officially been accepted into the academy as a student, while Croitzer kept an eye on him. The next day, Lux officially began his life as a student at the Royal Knights Academy. He meets his childhood friend, Philippi Ingram, affectionately known as Phi, who also happened to be the headmistress's sister. Philippi, as bubbly and clingy as ever, insisted that Lux call her Phi, which stirred immediate jealousy in Lisha. The female students learn that Lux is a handyman. They swamp him with requests. Even Lisha threw her hat in the ring, asking him to be her personal assistant. Unfortunately for her, Phi wasn't having it. The two girls quickly devolved into an argument over who had dibs on Lux, while Lux stood frozen like a deer in the headlight. Thankfully, Croitzer swooped in and pulled Lux away under the excuse that the headmistress needed him, though it quickly became clear that Croitzer had her own mission in mind. She wants him to find the Black Hero. Of course, the irony wasn't lost on Lux. That night, Lux had another strange dream, this time discussing an attack plan with his older brother, where he urged minimizing casualties. The dream, however, took a darker turn. When Lux woke up, he found Phi sleeping in his bed. She casually informed him that this was her room, too. Later, he explained to his sister that he didn't know Phi was his roommate, and the headmistress told him there was no room available. He took on another repair job, this time meeting up with Lisha, who presented him with a freshly repaired version of his white sword. She also dropped the news that he would soon be joining the Academy's Cavalry Knight unit. As a celebration or perhaps a date in disguise, she took him into the city. Unfortunately, she forgot her wallet, so Lux ended up footing the bill. The outing ended on a quieter note, as Lux took her to his favorite spot overlooking the city. There, he complimented her, calling her a great queen. Lisha, however, opened up about her painful past. Lisha explained that as her father had been the leader of the coup d'etat, She was kidnapped and branded as proof she was the Empire's property. After the war, when the Black Hero claimed victory, she stepped into her father's place as princess. But her brand, the humiliating reminder of her past, remained a closely guarded secret. That night, Lux dreamt again. But this time, it wasn't just strategy and whispers of mercy, it was blood. His brother mercilessly slaughtered everyone despite Lux's plea for minimal casualties and called Lux the weakest. The next day, trouble reared its head again. An abyss suddenly appeared near the academy. While the newly formed night team scrambled to deal with the threat, Lisha led a squad to eliminate the monster. Lux sensed something off. Sure enough, the culprit revealed himself, Ragreed Forest, a former knight still loyal to the fallen Arcadia Empire. Armed with a horn whistle, he unleashed a wave of monsters and overpowered Lisha's team. As he pinned her down, more rebel soldiers arrived, and he smugly reminded her that he was the one who had branded her long ago. Just as things looked bleak, Lux arrived in a dramatic entrance. Without hesitation, he drew his black sword, activating his forbidden drag ride and revealing to everyone that he was the Black Hero all along. With terrifying ease, he cut down the abyss and then defeated Ragreed using his signature move, Reload on Fire. While Lisha looked at him with awe and renewed admiration, Eri could only sigh. Her brother wasn't the hero people believed him to be. He was the weakest undefeated, the man who had once betrayed his own empire. Afterward, Lux was hailed as a savior, and the academy celebrated in full swing. Headmistress Relai, never one to miss an opportunity, organized a party game during the celebration. The rules were simple. Any girl who managed to steal a red request paper from Lux within 1 hour would earn the right to make him her servant for an entire week. Needless to say, things escalated quickly. To survive this student-led hunt, Lux sought refuge in Lisha's workshop. She agreed to shelter him and, more important, promised to keep his identity as the infamous Black Hero a secret for now. Unfortunately, Lisha also wants to catch him, but he managed to slip away. He was then snared by Fi, but once again escaped using classic trickery and a disarming smile. The countdown ticked away, and with only 10 minutes remaining, Lux ducked into what he thought was a safe hiding spot, a changing room. Naturally, this meant several girls, including Croitzer, entered to strip down to their underwear, completely unaware of their unintended audience. Croitzer, ever the sharp one, spotted Lux almost immediately. Instead of raising the alarm, she played along, allowing him to stay hidden. Once the other girls left, she lingered and casually claimed the game was over. Then, she asked to see the red paper. Lux handed it over, just as the bell rang, marking the true end of the game. With perfect timing and icy coolness, Croitzer became the winner. And her reward? She wanted Lux to become her boyfriend. Later, Headmistress Relai called Lux in and showed him a horn whistle just like the one used by Ragreed. She believed it held secrets tied to the ancient ruins and asked Lux to investigate. Meanwhile, Eri, ever the concerned sister, warned him to be careful around Croitzer. Being a noble from the influential Amur theocracy, Croitzer wasn't exactly an average classmate. During lunch, Croitzer opened up to Lux about the pressure she faced. As a noblewoman, she was expected to marry another noble. Her ever-watchful butler was visiting soon, and she was scheduled to meet her supposed fiancé. Wanting to avoid this fate, she asked Lux to play the part of her boyfriend. Lux agreed, because how could he say no to an icy beauty? This sudden development made Lisha visibly jealous, though she'd never admit it. That night, Lisha and Fi found themselves alone with Lux and Croitzer. Lisha tried to make Croitzer jealous by bragging about her close relationship with Lux. Fi, ever the wild card, almost spilled the beans about a previous kiss with Lux, but he swiftly shut her down. Croitzer, unfazed, coolly mentioned she had a date with Lux the next day and strolled off. On their date, Croitzer and Lux toured the city, clearly enjoying themselves, though they were unknowingly being tailed by Lisha and Fi in very questionable disguises. The outing ended with a surprise ambush by thieves. Lux jumped in to protect Croitzer and hold off the attackers long enough for her to activate her drag ride. Using her ability to glimpse into the future, Croitzer efficiently dismantled the threat. One thief tried to flee, only to be caught by Alterize, Croitzer's trusted butler, who was visibly stunned to discover Croitzer had brought her boyfriend along. Then came the twist. The two met Lord Croitzer Balzeride, Croitzer's arrogant and overconfident fiancé. When she introduced Lux as her actual boyfriend, Croitzer exploded with outrage. How could she choose a lowly ex-prince over him? His bruised ego demanded satisfaction, and he challenged Lux to a duel in 3 days. Croitzer, never one to back down, proposed a team match, pairs, to be precise. Lux, now stuck between romantic chaos and noble politics, accepted the challenge. Croitzer met with a hooded figure to discuss the secrets buried deep within the ancient ruins, an ominous conversation likely involving weapons, destruction, and the usual villain starter pack. Meanwhile, back at the academy, Lux and Croitzer were casually talking when Lisha discovered that the two weren't actually dating. With a competitive glint in her eyes and possibly hearts in her head, she decided to help Lux win their upcoming duel was to repairing Lux's drag ride herself. Lux is exhausted from his handyman job, found himself dragged off by Tilfer the Limit. A friend of Lisha led him to a room where Lisha, Fi, and Tilfer were all waiting in maid outfits and helped to relax. Elsewhere, the four noble families convened to discuss the Ragnarok class abyss dragons, ancient beasts of mass destruction sealed beneath ruins scattered across the kingdom. One such monster was close to breaking free, and unfortunately, the kingdom's military was about as ready as a teacup facing a tidal wave. With no other options, Croitzer was ordered to explore the ruins and retrieve powerful relics, while Headmistress Relai prepared her own team for the same ruins, led, of course, by Lux. As the horn whistle was the key to the ruins, Relai handed it to Lux. Croitzer volunteered to join the mission as well, though she had her own secret motives. Before departure, Lux found himself in yet another awkward situation when he accidentally walked in on Fi while entering the bath. Fi started to sleep in the bath, but Lux woke her up. Lux quickly noticed something odd. A scar on Fi's back, long familiar to him, had mysteriously vanished. Fi warned him about the dangers of the ruins, clearly worried, but Lux, as always, promised to come back in one piece. The next day, as the team gathered, Croitzer decided to crash the party, announcing he would also be joining them. Croitser's glare could have melted metal, but Croitzer remained as smug as ever. Once inside the ruins, the team was swiftly attacked by a Diablo's class abyss, big, brutal, and very hard to hit. The creature nearly shattered Lux's white sword before Croitzer managed to land a hit. Croitzer swooped in shortly after and demonstrated his firepower by shooting the beast effortless. Always one to make things worse, he smugly declared that if Lux could kill the abyss before he did, he'd cancel their duel. Sadly, Croitzer had lost her precognition ability, and despite her best efforts, Croitzer landed the killing blow. The abyss exploded in dramatic fashion, and just to raise the stakes, the ruins began to glow ominous. Lux leapt to protect Croitzer from the blast, and the two were sent flying. When Lux regained consciousness, he found himself alone with Croitzer inside the deeper parts of the ruin. Croitzer explained that if they could make it to the central altar, they might be able to reunite with the others. However, she was barely able to stand, so Lux offered her his support. As they journeyed to the heart of the ruin, Lux asked why Croitzer was so invested in the Black Hero. She revealed her belief that the Black Hero had limitless power, the ability to operate a drag ride indefinitely, something no ordinary rider could do. Deep down, she hoped she was similar to him, perhaps even connected by fate. When they finally reached the central altar, Lux prepared to use the horn whistle to unlock it, only for the altar to open automatically at Croitzer's presence. She calmly revealed the truth. She wasn't just a noble of the Emer theocracy. She was, in fact, a surviving citizen of the very ancient civilization that had created the ruins themselves. As the ruins began to collapse, Lux and Croitzer found themselves trapped beneath fallen debris. With dust still settling, Croitzer decided to share the truth she had kept hidden for so long. She had been found as a baby by the Earl of the Emer theocracy, who saw her as more of a curiosity or asset than a child. Her adoptive family kept her at a cold distance, and although she worked hard to become a skilled drag knight, it only sparked jealousy in her siblings. She had come to the ruins seeking proof that she was human, but now, facing the undeniable truth, she had to accept she wasn't. Her voice carried sadness, regret, and guilt for dragging Lux into what she considered her personal mess. Lux, naturally, tries to cheer her up. He then reveals his own story. He recalled how he, his mother, and his sister were banished from the royal family, and how, when his injured mother needed help, but citizens who suffered under the empire let her die. Bitterness could have consumed him, but it was Fi who reminded him of kindness when he'd nearly given up on it. Just as things were getting emotionally heavy, Lisha made a dramatic entrance and rescued them like a true action heroine. Later, Lux reunited with his sister, Eri, and covered up Croitzer's secret by lying that the horn whistle didn't unlock any deeper levels in the ruins. But Croitzer had other ideas. She had Eri drug Lux, yes, gently drugged him, so she could fight the duel against Croitzer in his place. It did not go well. Without her future-seeing ability, Croitzer couldn't land a single hit. Croitzer deduces that it was Croitzer who attacked Lux and Croitzer on their date. He admits and reveals it had all been a ploy to learn the secrets of her drag ride. Now that she'd lost, he claimed her as his property, because, of course, he was that kind of noble. Just as Croitzer prepared to strike Croitzer, Lux crashed in like a proper hero and revealed his true identity as the Black Hero cloak, sword, power moves, and all. Things escalated quickly. Croitzer used Croitzer's ability to predict the future in combat, and Lux realized his opponent's true strength, the power to steal others' abilities. Croitzer admits he knows Croitzer is a citizen of the ruins and made it clear he intended to exploit Croitzer's heritage and connection to ancient technology to harness weapons strong enough to destroy even the mighty Ragnarok beast. A small sacrifice for great power, he reasoned. He then turned his sights on Lux, intent on stealing his own incredible speed. With Croitzer in his sights, Croitzer fired and succeeded in copying Lux's super speed. What followed was a beatdown Lux couldn't counter, but seeing Croitzer in tears struck a nerve deep within him. Refusing to let her suffer, Lux states it is his duty to protect his girlfriend, and unleashes a trump card, Rico Burst, a self-created move that condensed all his energy into a single, devastating attack. It was a beautifully reckless maneuver, strong enough to defeat Croitzer, but dangerous enough to nearly break Lux himself. As Eri later sighed, Lux never did listen to reason once he made up his mind. Afterwards, Lux is told that by defeating her previous fiancé, he is Croitzer's new fiancé. Croitzer admits Lux managed to impress her, and kisses him twice in front of a furious Lisha. Late one night, a new girl was seen wandering around the academy grounds, except this girl wasn't new or even a girl. It was, in fact, Lux in disguise. Earlier that day, Lux had learned from the students that Celestia, Seals, Raugris, the academy's strongest third-year student, was returning. She was the daughter of a high-ranking noble, revered for her power and notorious for her alleged hatred of men. At the same time, rumors had surfaced about a suspicious figure prowling the campus after dark. Lux, because of course it had to be him, was tasked with investigating. To avoid drawing suspicion as a male, he was forced into a cross-dressing operation that would make even seasoned spies cringe. Lux began his nightly patrols. During one of these rounds, Lux spotted a girl having a perfectly normal conversation with a cat, as one does in a fantasy school, when the suspicious prowler finally struck. Before Lux could react, he was assaulted. Fortunately, the girl came to his rescue. As the attacker fled using a smoke bomb, he hurled a knife back at them. Lux, ever the gentleman, even in a skirt, shielded the girl and got injured for his trouble. The girl, surprisingly composed given the situation, tended to his injury and introduced herself as none other than Celestia Raugris. Lux claims he is a girl called Luno. Meanwhile, Croitzer, still in prison after his defeat, was mysteriously murdered by his hooded associate, whose timing was suspiciously convenient. Back at the academy, Lux, this time back in his own identity, had a tense meeting with Celestia. She demanded he leave the academy. Lux, however, refused to go, arguing that with the looming threat of the Ragnaroks, they couldn't afford to cast anyone aside, not even someone as complicated as him. Headmistress Rely, sensing another duel opportunity, arranged a formal match. If Lux won, he could stay. If he lost, he had to leave. Around this time, a girl named Sonia thanked Seals for trying to get Lux expelled, clearly thinking she was doing him a favor. It was becoming obvious that Seals didn't hate Lux. She was just trying to protect him in her own grumpy, sunder way. Soon after, the Academy's chivalric order, led by Seals, traveled to Rise Island for a training camp. Lux noticed a mysterious building at the top of a mountain. That night, he was summoned for a massage appointment. Expecting someone else, he was horrified to find Seals waiting. Panicking, he transformed into Luna once again, narrowly avoiding disaster. Seals, oddly fond of her new friend, invited Luno to tour the town with her the next day. Lux, hesitant but unable to say no to sad eyes, agreed. On the way out of his room, still dressed as Luno, he was almost exposed by Sonia, only to be saved at the last second by Croitzer. She warned him that Sonia had actually pressured Seals into trying to remove him from the academy. The next day, Lux, still in disguise, met Seals for their girls' day out. They toured the town, browsed shops, and even went swimsuit shopping, an experience Lux wasn't emotionally prepared for. Eventually, while resting in a shaded spot outside the town, Seals finally admitted the truth. She didn't actually hate men. The whole thing had been a massive misunderstanding that no one ever bothered to clarify. While soldiers scouted a fossilized Ragnarok deep within the island, they made a chilling discovery. The husk was completely empty. Meanwhile, back on the beach, students of the academy were preparing for a much lighter activity, swimming practice. Sonia casually asked Celestia if she was really okay with Lux being around in such a shirtless environment. Seals admitted she didn't actually hate men. In fact, her own teacher, whom she deeply admired, had been a man. She just never quite figured out how to communicate with boys her own age. So yes, she was awkward, not hostile. The students enjoyed their free time at the beach. Seals appeared on the beach, looking for Luno. Other girls gleefully tried to force Lux into another cross-dressing act, but he managed to slip away. Headmistress Rely told everyone to enjoy their time, but Seals, still conflicted, decided to leave the beach. Lux remembered their conversation from the other day, where Seals had confided that she had been trained by his maternal grandfather, the same man who died in prison for speaking out against the Empire's corruption. Seals confessed that the only reason she wanted him gone from the academy was to protect. She couldn't bear the idea of him suffering the same fate. Later, the formal duel between Lux and Celestia finally began, with Seals immediately taking the lead. Meanwhile, the Triad uncovered something far more serious, the identity of the suspicious prowler. It was Sonia, who turns out to be a spy for the Hybrid Republic, tasked with gathering intel and ultimately toppling the kingdom. Just as Sonia gleefully admitted her mission, a far more terrifying event occurred. The revived Ragnarok, yes, that Ragnarok, emerged, interrupting the duel. Ever the hero, Celestia charged at the creature and seemingly defeated it until the hooded figure, Croitzer's old partner, revived the monster using a flute. Sonia then turned on Seals, stabbing her both literally and emotionally. She even hinted that Lux's grandfather died because of Celestia. Defeated and devastated, Celestia confessed everything to Lux. She had overheard the Empire's corruption and, in naivety, told her teacher. That very act led to his dismissal and the punishment of his entire bloodline, including Lux's family. Lux, however, wasn't shocked. He revealed that he had known for some time, and just to twist the knife of awkwardness, also revealed that he had been Luno all along. Then, with Bahamut summoned and his speed cranked up, Lux launched an attack on Ragnarok. Seals tried to convince Sonia to surrender, but couldn't bring herself to strike her down. Sonia escaped. Lux quickly defeats the Ragnarok, but its core is saved by Sonia. The hooded woman finally introduced herself as Hayes of the Hybrid Republic. More disturbingly, she bore an uncanny resemblance to Lux and Eri, suggesting some sinister family connection. She hinted that Lux had forgotten something tragic that happened on this island 5 years ago before fleeing with Sonia. That night, after everything had calmed down, Seals confronted Lux about the whole Luno situation. She was furious at first, but after some yelling, sulking, and Lux awkwardly calling her cute, she forgave him. She even allowed him to stay at the academy. Later, Lux tries to remember what took place on the island 5 years ago, and he sees flashes of the large building and a room with young girls on a bed while covered in blood. As he tries to remember more, his head begins to hurt and an earthquake suddenly hits as new ruins appear out from the sea. A flashback reveals a moment from Lux and Philippi's childhood. Lux's mischievous brothers had broken something important and, without a second thought, decided to blame poor Phi. Before things could get ugly, Lux stepped in and gallantly took the blame himself, earning young Phi's silent devotion. Back in the present, Lux visits Phi in her room, where she announces her intention to join the upcoming ruin investigation. Naturally, Lux, being Lux, frets over her fragile health, but Phi brushes it off with a tired smile and her usual quiet resolve. Lisha brings Lux to her workshop, where his drag ride, Bahamut, has been freshly modified for the expedition. She's made upgrades. As the investigation begins, Lux is surprised to find that Eri is tagging along as well. Together with the rest of the team, they venture into the mysterious ruins, where they're greeted not by ancient wisdom or glowing treasure, but by a completely destroyed ecosystem. Lux and other theorizes that a devastating war must have taken place here long ago. To explore more efficiently, the group splits up. Lux, Noct, and Eri stumble upon a shocking sight. A young girl, buried under rubble yet curiously unharmed. They summon Croitzer, whose mere touch causes the girl to stir. The girl, Locrush, calmly introduces herself as the ruin's supervisor and promptly refers to Croitzer as administrator, because clearly things weren't confusing enough already. Croitzer quickly realizes Locrush is not human, and the girl admits her memories and most of the ruin's data have been lost due to her extended stasis. While everyone discusses what to do next, Lux notices Phi looking increasingly pale and tired. Meanwhile, in a far more elegant room, the Queen of Atismata convenes with the 4 great nobles to discuss recent troubles, including Ragreed's escape and rumors of an attack on the kingdom. One noble suggests a bold solution: draft the academy's students into military service to make up for their shortage of drag riders. Seal's father fiercely objects, but the suggestion lingers ominously in the air. Another noble openly admits that Lux, the former prince, might be their ace in the hole, even if they'd rather not say it out loud. Back in the ruins, Lux carries an exhausted Phi as they enter a room where the abyss were being created. Before they can process the horror of that revelation, Phi cries out in pain, clutching her head, and warns them of incoming danger. An abyss emerges and attacks. It almost damages Lux's drag ride. Locrush calmly explains that whenever the ruins enter a state of alert, 3 abysses are released as a defense mechanism. Lux suggests retreating, but Headmistress Rely, with unusual seriousness, insists they continue. Phi, determined to be useful, activates her drag ride and dashes ahead. Lux chases after her, as she exits the ruins to confront the remaining abyss. However, she's violently thrown into an old, crumbling building atop the mountain. Lux starts to remember more about the past. He then defeats the abyss and enters the building, and remembers that it was once used as a place for human experimentation by the old empire, and Fi was one of the victims. Lux rushes inside and finds her there, trembling. She warns him that something dark is coming, but before he can react, Fi attacks him. She smiles maniacally, and her eyes emit an inhuman glow. A brief flashback shows a touching moment between a young Lux and Philippi. As they prepare to part ways, Lux promises her that one day he'll build a country where she can live happily. Back in the present, things are far less innocent. Fi, in a terrifying trance, is strangling Lux, but she suddenly collapses, unconscious. Standing beside her is Hayes, smiling in that infuriatingly smug way only villains can manage. Meanwhile, back in the ruins, Lisha and Croitzer manage to defeat the remaining abyss. Eri informs them that they've discovered the entrance to the deepest part of the ruins, but unfortunately, it's locked tight and they're missing the key. Back at the old building, Lux confronts Hayes. She calmly explains that if anything happens to her, Fi dies too. The reason? Hayes had implanted a seed of Ragnarok inside Fi. Slowly but surely, the creature has been eating her from the inside, turning her into an abyss. Fi's fevers, her headaches, her brief moments of madness, all suddenly make sense. Despite being controlled, Fi has been resisting with all her strength. She then offers Lux a deal. Fi wakes up and doesn't remember what happened in the old building. Lux remembers Hayes' deal in which she will command the Ragnarok to save Fi, who will die in a few days in her current state, but in exchange, Lux must open the entrance to the deepest part of the ruins using Croitzer as their key, but he is given a time limit of 2 days to accomplish this. Later, Lux meets with Rely, who finally reveals the truth. 5 years ago, Fi had supposedly died from the cruel experiments conducted by the old empire, but she miraculously woke up stronger, though at a terrible, unknown cost. Rely confesses that her real reason for wanting to explore the ruins' depths is to find a cure for Fi's condition, showing just how much she still loves her sister. The next day, Lux spends time reflecting. He remembers visiting his mother's grave, crying silently, only for young Fi to comfort him with quiet strength. Meanwhile, his Bahamut undergoes essential maintenance, preparing for what's ahead. Then, out of nowhere, Lux and Eri receive a transmission from their enigmatic brother, Fugel. He coldly informs them that the only way to save Fi is to destroy both the Ragnarok controlling her and Hayes' horn. Before returning to the ruins, Lux visits Fi. She gently tells him that she already knows the truth. Despite the pain, she is satisfied. Lux and Rely have both grown stronger, and that's enough for her. But Lux promises to save her, no matter the cost. The team re-enters the ruins, but the gate to the deepest level remains sealed. Lisha suggests they try smashing it open, but Croitzer ends up unlocking it using her unique connection, finally opening the path forward. Just then, Lakrush, now fully conscious and loyal to the ruins, attacks. Hayes returns with Fi under her control, and Fi's drag ride reveals its terrifying ability. It can nullify the powers of others. Just to make things more chaotic, Fugel shows up too. Fortunately, Eri, holding a horn of her own, manages to reach Fi's mind. Through sheer will, Fi breaks free of Hayes' control and shatters the horn, regaining herself at last. But Hayes has one final card to play. She revives the Ragnarok. The beast is more ferocious than ever. Despite the group's best efforts, they are quickly overwhelmed. Lux fights desperately but ends up caught in the monster's grip, until he finally unleashes the full power of Bahamut. With a massive surge of energy, Lux destroys the Ragnarok once and for all. Fugel, ever the observer, convinces Hayes to retreat as the ruins begin to collapse, and the battle, at long last, is over. Later, as Lux recovers, Fi assures him that she can now resist the horn's influence and thanks him for saving her. After returning from the intense training camp, everyone celebrates Lux's recovery like he just come back from the dead. Eri notes that while he was unconscious, all the girls had taken turns caring for him, though taking turns might be a stretch since they mostly argued over who got the privilege. Meanwhile, Rely casually reveals that she was reprimanded for investigating the ruins without permission, but thanks to the upcoming Foundation Festival, she got off with nothing more than a scolding. The girls each demand a date with Lux. Naturally, Rely, because Chaos is her middle name, gives Lux the freedom to choose. Backed into a corner, Lux chooses diplomacy. He decides to go on a date with all of them, one at a time. He starts with Eri, who drags him around the city and warns him that a drag ride tournament will be held during the festival and that he should avoid participating, considering he just recovered. More importantly, she reveals that the Empire's most dangerous drag knight, known ominously as the Empire's Assassin Blade, has escaped prison. And surprise, surprise, their target is Lux, the man who toppled the Empire. They later separate, and Lux meets up with Seals, who is surprisingly elegant in her formal wear. To avoid attention, Lux is made to dress like a butler. They explore the festival together, and for a moment, she even forgets to act cold. Seals says she enjoyed spending time with the promise not to lose, but then, Seals slips and pulls Lux down with her, resulting in the classic accidental boob grab scene right in front of others. After their date, Lux is whisked away by the triad to meet Croitzer, who takes him to a high-class social gathering. After a graceful dance, they sneak away to a balcony, where Croitzer's usual cool demeanor briefly falters. She admits that her maid, Alterize, is keeping a watchful eye on them. Then, with zero warning, steals a kiss from Lux. Then it's Vi's turn. Their date is simple and quiet. They spend time in a peaceful church. Lux lays his head on her lap as she softly thanks him again for saving her life. Watching nearby, Rely and the triad sigh at the pure wholesomeness of it all. As Lux returns to school, Lisha intercepts him. She asks him to become her knight officially on stage at the closing ceremony of the festival. Lux, still haunted by his past as a fallen prince of the old empire, insists he's unfit to stand beside her publicly. But Lisha is undeterred. She doesn't care about his status. She wants the people to see the man she trusts. Lux, of course, promises to think about it. The next day, while speaking privately with Eri, Lux is suddenly approached by an unfamiliar yet strikingly confident girl. She introduces herself as Yora Kirihime, the escaped assassin Eri warned him about, and declares Lux as her master due to a contract she had made years ago with his late father. She now sees it as her duty to serve him, no matter what. Completely caught off guard, Lux tells her to wait until the festival ends before they talk further. Later that night, Lux is trying to enjoy a quiet bath when Yorka casually joins him, claiming she simply wanted to be close to her master. Lux screams in surprise, and they are discovered by the triad and an angry Lisha. After the order is restored and everyone cools down, Lux finally questions Yorka about her intention. He asks why she still honors a contract with a dead man, and what she truly wants. Yorka avoids giving a straight answer and instead flips the conversation on him, questioning how long he plans to deceive the world. After all, she says, someone like Lux has the power to destroy the current kingdom and restore the empire. Lux replies that he does not desire to. Before the conversation can go deeper, the girls attempt to confront Yorka, who summons her own divine drag ride and easily fends them off. She then disappears into the night. Lisha was rehearsing her speech for the kingdom's foundation festival when Lux quietly entered her room, and they discussed Lisha's offer from the other day. Meanwhile, far from the warm lights of the academy, Hayes, Sonia, and Yorka were up to no good. As usual, the trio infiltrated yet another ruin. Back at the capital, Lux and Eri found themselves summoned before the four great nobles. They revealed troubling intelligence. Ragreed was planning to overthrow the new kingdom after the drag ride tournament. The nobles had a solution, risky of course. Lux was to act as a decoy to lure over 100 abyss hiding in nearby abandoned villages, and in return, they would overlook the whole Rise Island incident. Oh, and while he was at it, they also expected him to win the tournament. Lux agrees to do both, though Eri is against this. Back at the academy, Lux visited Lisha again, asking her to once more upgrade his wyvern drag ride. He spotted Yorka lurking nearby. Curious, and maybe a little wary, he confronted her, and they talked about her reasons for serving him even though the empire is no more. She explained her devotion. It wasn't the old empire that bound her, but a promise made to her beloved younger brother, who had inherited the throne when their father grew ill. Born with a terrifying ability to kill, Yorka was always feared, even by her own father. Her brother was the only one who ever showed her kindness. And Lux, he reminded her of him. Lux tried to reason with her, wondering if the Empire had coerced her with threats to her brother. But Yorka made her intentions crystal clear. She intended to destroy the new kingdom to fulfill her promise. Since Lux wouldn't join her, she coldly declared him an enemy and warned him to watch his back, especially during the tournament. As the tournament commenced, Lux quickly won his match, though Croitzer noticed something was off. Lux was fighting recklessly, rushing his victory, unlike his usual strategic, calculated self. After the match, Lux quietly asked Eri to deliver a message to the others in case he didn't return for the team battle tournament. Then it was Lisha's turn. Her match was going smoothly until everything spiraled. Yorka tampered with her drag ride, forcing it to attack the audience mid-match. Lisha was instantly arrested, her drag ride confiscated. Meanwhile, Lux had discovered Sonia's plan. She released the Abyss, and Lux barely managed to lure them to the kingdom's awaiting forces. The soldiers succeeded in destroying them. True to her promise, Eri revealed the full operation to the other girls. Shocked and angry, they resolved to track down Yorka and clear Lisha's name. But while Lux tried to rest after the chaos, he sensed something wasn't right. His instincts were right. Ragreed launched an unexpected attack, slaughtering the remaining soldiers while the main force, believing the threat would come after the tournament, were caught completely off guard. It was never about after. The tournament was just a distraction. Due to the emergency, the academy immediately suspended the tournament. News of the attack reached the girls, and the grim truth hit. Insurgents were already advancing toward the capital. Lux confronted Ragreed, who smugly revealed that the invasion had already begun. And just to make things worse, Hayes is piloting a massive stone golem and heading towards the capital. With little choice, Lux equipped Bahamut, knowing full well he had just 12 minutes of power. As the battle escalates, Lux continues his fierce clash with Ragreed. Just when it seems Ragreed gains the upper hand by severing Bahamut's arm, he realizes, too late, that the drag ride was merely a wyvern cleverly disguised as Bahamut. In the blink of an eye, Lux defeats Ragreed and his remaining men, then races toward the capital while contacting Aerie, who informs him about Lisha's troubling situation. Meanwhile, inside her prison cell, Lisha finds herself at the mercy of Sonia, who demands to hand over the kingdom, but Lisha refuses. With smug cruelty, Sonia orders her soldier to strip Lisha, curious to see the infamous brand of the former empire etched beneath her stomach. But before things go any further, Lux storms in just in time. He rescues Lisha and convinces the depressed and guilty Lisha to help him fight. Elsewhere, Hayes arrogantly demands the kingdom's surrender, only to be met by a surprise assault from Croitzer and Phi. Lux and Lisha soon join the battle, temporarily halting the advance of the giant. Lux instructs Croitzer and Phi to eliminate the remaining Abyss and Insurgent, while he and Lisha take on the towering giant directly. Their advance is quickly challenged by Hayes herself, who appears in her divine drag ride and cleaves the city in two with a single, earth-splitting strike. As chaos spreads, Seals confronts Sonia, who has cornered the noble. Meanwhile, while Lux looks for a way inside the giant, Lisha fights Hayes alone but is clearly outmatched. As Lux finds an entrance, he is confronted by Yora. Still intent on reviving the Empire, she now proposes placing Aerie on the throne instead. Lux again questions her reasons for reviving the Empire, and she finally reveals the full story. Yora was once a princess, and her twin brother was the young ruler of their kingdom after their father died of an illness. In exchange for Yora's cooperation with the Empire, her brother would be spared, but while she was away, her brother was killed by the nobles of their kingdom as a peace offering when they decided to put the blame on him after they surrendered to the Empire. Yora kills the nobles in revenge but decides to honor her contract to the Empire, believing it was her fate. But Lux compares her to Lisha, who is trying her best despite her unwilling position as the kingdom's princess. They battle fiercely, and Lux ultimately gains the upper hand, exploiting Yora's moment of emotional distraction when he invokes her brother's memory. He explains that he wished to change the country for the better, but he failed. In order for him to accomplish this, he had to destroy the Empire first and rebuild it from the ground up, thus making Yora understand that everything Lux had done was for the Empire. Back in the capital, Seals defeats Sonia. However, the giant golem regains power and prepares to destroy the city. At the last second, Yora, having chosen to follow Lux once more, betrays Hayes and disables the golem's controls from within. Enraged, Hayes tries to bring ruin to herself. Lisha tries to stop her but is defeated. Finally, Lux confronts Hayes and brings her down once and for all. With peace restored, the Foundation Festival concludes. Lisha delivers her long-awaited speech, publicly announcing Lux as her official knight. The crowd erupts in support. During the party, Lux briefly spots Fugil in the distance, who is holding what appears to be Bahamut's sword device, then quietly walks away. In the end, Lisha decides it's time to deepen her bond with Lux. But before anything meaningful can happen, he's swarmed by all the girls, Yora included, who each make their feelings clear, with Yora openly flirting. Lisha, visibly flustered and done with patience, demands that Lux make a decision and finally declare which girl he truly loves.
Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more videos like this. If you have any suggestions or questions, feel free to leave a comment below. Until next time, take care.